Hi BookTube, Aaron here. Hope you're doing very well. Today I've got another book haul for you. Um, I've been, I think ribbed would be the right word. I've been ribbed a fair bit recently from one Steve Donahue for my book hauls and for my I don't know, for my demanding of book hauls from Steve himself as well. I'm apparently a bad influence and um, I don't know, an infiltrator of peer pressure, which probably I am uh, to a lot of people, particularly through book hauls. And I got another one, and I have a terrible habit of saying this is going to be the last book haul for a very long time. I don't know why I say it because, as I said the last time, that invariably means that there will be more books on the way quite soon. Um, I think it has been a few weeks, at least maybe 3 weeks, something like that. So it doesn't seem like they're constantly coming in. Maybe 2 weeks, I don't know. But I'm gonna say this is the last book haul, or this is the book haul to end all book hauls until the next book haul. So I'm not saying that my book haul will be the next book haul because there will certainly be another book haul, but this is the book haul to end all book hauls up until the point of this book haul. So with that cleared up, we'll jump into it. Uh, the first one is one that I picked up for free in the last few weeks. A little free library has sprung up in my office, which has been lovely. It is quite nice to see that actually, overhearing conversations that people in other departments are having. Sometimes they're just talking about books, which is lovely, and I sometimes talk with some of my colleagues about books as well. And maybe a topic for another video or for a conversation with someone. Quite a few people in my office are really into their Kindles as well, and that's also pretty cool to see. But anyway, a little free library has sprung up, and I've dropped off a couple of books from there, and I've picked up one book, and it's The Fraud by Zadie Smith. I'm doing my best not to cover up the title or the author, but it's quite difficult since that's basically the whole cover of the book. Um, I've not read anything by Zadie Smith. I've heard her name, sort of batted around all over the place. I've heard people saying that White Teeth is very good, but then a lot of the stuff that she's written since then hasn't been quite as good. But I've heard some interesting things about this, and it seems to be a sort of historical novel based in Victorian times. I think it's got Dickens in it as a character, if I'm not mistaken, or at least someone who's based on Dickens. No, it looks like Mr. Charles Dickens is a character, and that there is something about modern fiction set in the 18th or 19th century that I find really interesting, particularly when it's, um, I don't know, when it's being playful with it and it's sort of bringing up some of the author's influences, perhaps, and some of the popular sort of cultural touchstones for the period. So I'm intrigued to see what this book is like. I have no reference in terms of Zadie Smith's sort of backlist of novels, but I'll just sort of judge it on its own terms and see if I like it as a book. Next up, we've got one of these little Penguin Great Ideas books. I've read one or two of them, and I've picked up this one. It's What is Existentialism by Simone de I can say it in my head really, really well. So Simone de Beauvoir, and it will be good to know what exactly is existentialism. I've read some existentialist authors. I've read some novels that have been called existentialist novels, and I have a rough idea of what it is. And I'd be, on the one hand, really interested to see what Simone de Beauvoir has to say about it, but also just as a writer, I'd quite like to get to know de Beauvoir on the page as well. So it's not terribly long, it's just over 100 pages. So it's one just to throw in a bag for when I'm out and about, I think. And then, speaking of Charles Dickens, actually, this is A Tale of Two Cities by Dickens. I was sort of out and about thinking of what Dickens I haven't read, and this is one of there are quite a few of the big ones I haven't read. I could have picked up Our Mutual Friend, or is it Martin Chuzzlewit, and um, even the Mystery of Edwin Drood, I'm quite intrigued by as well. But I thought I'd read A Tale of Two Cities. I was talking with my dad just the other day about all sorts of stuff, but Dickens came up, and I think he was saying this is um, just really good. I think he was saying it's one of those books that he thinks he's kind of over it, and maybe I was exaggerating how much I enjoyed it, and then he goes back to it, and actually no, it really is that good. So yeah, I really need to read a lot more Dickens at some point. Then next up, I picked up Balthazar by Lawrence Durrell. This is the second book in his Alexandria Quartet. Very shortly in my next reading update, or it'll be the monthly wrap up by now. I'll be saying that I've finished reading Justine by Lawrence Durrell. This is the first book in that story, and you might be able to see that so Faber and Faber have started reprinting them, and have been sort of harkening back to sort of these sort of earlier printings, which I think is really cool. They're not obviously they're not exactly the same. The format's different. They also had Justine in this sort of newer format, but yeah, I don't know if they have the rest of them in this format, since they're sort of harkening back to this. I'll see if I can pick them up. But I just loved the writing in Justine, and definitely want to keep on reading the rest of the Alexandria Quartet. It's just really really well written. Next up, this is definitely a very odd booktube made me do it sort of choice. This is Lucretius on the Nature of Things, translated by Ronald Melville. And a little while ago now, I saw James from Quaint and Curious Volumes haul this, and mainly I just commented on the cover. I really love the cover of this Oxford World Classics edition, but it seems like a really interesting thing. So it's a long poem that's sort of combining, as it combines scientific and philosophical. Well, it combines a scientific and philosophical treatise with some of the greatest poetry ever written. And so he's sort of, I suppose, looking into how stuff works, how the universe came into being, uh, all that jazz. And then a couple more poetry books based off poets I've really been wanting to get to, and I suppose I got a sort of a kick in the exterior from reading Lives of the Poets, and also from talking to my dad again. This is one of my dad's favourite poets. This is R.S. Thomas, his collected poems from 1945 to 1990. It'd be really interesting to see how he develops as a poet, because that seems to be something that in the Lives of the Poets by Michael Schmidt, when he was writing about Thomas, one of the fascinating things I think for him was how Thomas really stripped down his language as he got older, and the poetry got more jagged. And a lot of critics didn't particularly like it, but it seems really compelling. So I'd be really intrigued to sort of go on that journey through his poetry. My dad has this exact edition, so I could have just borrowed that, but I didn't. And then to finish up, we've got Elizabeth Jennings, so another poet that came up in Lives of the Poets, and these are her new selected poems. And I think she essentially is often grouped with the the movement poets, so people like Philip Larkin and Kingsley Amis, who, um, there's the odd good poem, the odd good line, but to be honest, I find them pretty dull and uninteresting and overrated, if I'm honest. But there's something really different about um, Jennings, and she doesn't quite fit into their mold. She's a little more metaphysical than they are. She's sort of happy to sort of go into those sorts of inquiries. And there's a poem that she has. Let's see if I can find it. I won't read it. I've read it before for Poetry Thursday, but she's got a poem about sort of early autumn. It's just really lovely. I'm not sure if I can find it in here. But yeah, it's just a really lovely poem, um, and I only have a slim selection of her stuff from anthologies at the moment. And so when I saw this, I was quite excited. So this might be the next poetry book that I jump to. But that's it. So that is the book haul to end all book hauls until the next book haul, whether it be by me or someone else. Hopefully by someone else. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.